What's going on, guys? Today we are making a replica, but like a very loose interpretation of one of my favorite desserts, tiramisu. But this is like espresso cookies with an espresso dipping sauce. So it's like a million times easier to make than tiramisu, but I think you get like 80 to 90% of the taste. We're gonna make these. The cookies are super soft, and then you just dip it in some like delicious coffee flavored whipped cream. What we're gonna do here, first off, is make the cookies. We're gonna actually do some espresso grounds, not all of these, just like a half tablespoon, and then some fresh espresso. Now, if you don't have espresso, you don't have like an espresso maker, cold brew, that's probably your second best option. And if you don't have either of those, just do coffee, that's fine, it'll just be a little bit weaker. First thing is to melt a stick of butter. So I like to just do that in the microwave. We got a stick here. Butter's looking melty. Now it's time to basically just throw everything in here, form it into cookies. It's pretty easy. So first off, I'm gonna add the espresso just so it kind of intermingles with the butter in there and mixes in. That is a 1/4 cup of espresso. Then next up, I'm just gonna add all the dry ingredients. So here we have 1 cup of almond flour. We have a 1/4 cup of coconut flour. And a good practice to get into, which we never do, is to mix your dry ingredients together first. 1/4 cup of erythritol. We're gonna do a half tablespoon of cinnamon. Cinnamon goes like surprisingly well with coffee. I really like it. We're gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of espresso grounds in the batter here. This is optional, I really like it. And for espresso grounds, just any dark roast coffee is pretty much fine. Any coffee at all is fine. Dark roast just kind of gives you more of the coffee flavor. Then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. The last ingredient is 30 drops of stevia. I just kind of eyeball it, pour a bunch in, depending on how sweet you want it. And the combination of erythritol and stevia gets you like a really good sweetness without a lot of aftertaste. If you want to avoid erythritol though, just up the stevia a little bit, or vice versa. If you want it to be super delicious, just like double the erythritol. So I'm gonna blend this together, and then we still got 2 eggs that we're gonna add. Give that a final mix. That is looking lovely. This should make like a pretty big amount of cookies, maybe 20 or so. The oven's preheating to 350. We're gonna get out a few baking sheets and start using a cookie scooper to scoop out some cookies. Let's do it. You may need 2 of these. Let's see how many we can get on here. So we're using a silicone mat here. We always use this. We like using it for any kind of baked goods. It's just really easy non-stick. I've made these 2 ways, okay? I like to just scoop them, cookie scoop, a little bit of like an overflowing cookie scoop. I like them a little bigger. And we're not gonna press them out at all. I've tried them both ways. They'll expand slightly, but they're gonna be like pretty thick and fluffy in the middle, and it's perfect to dip in the espresso whipped cream. So let's just portion out the rest of these. You can get them pretty close together too, because they don't spread all that much. This is where we can get crazy if you want to. If you're a coffee fiend like 98% of America, we're gonna take more espresso grounds. And we are going to dust just lightly. These are pretty powerful, so don't go too crazy. We're gonna pop these in the oven at 350 for about 12 to 15 minutes. Start checking on them at 12 minutes. The underside will get slightly brown. That's when they're about good to take out. The cookies are fresh out of the oven, and it took exactly 12 minutes. Perfect cook time. When these come out, they're gonna be very soft. See, you can feel those. Let them set. Anything you bake with almond flour and coconut flour is gonna take some time to really like harden up. And these aren't gonna get very hard, they're gonna be soft. That's what we're going for. So now all that's left to do is make the dip. We're gonna do that right now. It's really simple. I make this like a lot of times when we have any kind of dessert, you just wanna whip something up real fast. We have a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream here, and we're just gonna whip it. This should take about 30 seconds to a minute on high. So one little tip, if you want this to be thicker and like more withstanding to the cookies, like if you want to do a sandwich or something, add like 2 ounces, maybe 1 ounce of room temperature cream cheese. It makes it a lot thicker. To this, we're just gonna add 10 drops of stevia to make it sweet. It's not very sweet on its own. You just need a little sweetness to make it more dessert-like. And then we're going nuts today, guys. About a teaspoon or a half teaspoon of espresso grounds, as much as you want. This really gives it the flavor of tiramisu. It brings the coffee notes throughout the entire dessert. And then just give that a final mix. So what I would do is bring this as a dip, set it in the center, all the cookies around it, Super Bowl party, brunch, great brunch thing. This seems like a good brunch thing to me. But if you really want to go all out, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find the most perfect looking cookie. I feel like by perfect, I just mean biggest, so I'm gonna go with this one. Get a big old dollop of this whipped cream, plop it on top. Not enough coffee yet. Just give it like a little sprinkle for presentation. That was too much. Don't put that much. Let's give this a try. That is just out of this world, guys. This is one of my favorite desserts. I'm a coffee fiend like most of you are, so very similar to a tiramisu taste. The whipped cream is delicious. I would just make a huge batch of this whipped cream and eat it on everything. And we did use a lot of coffee, but the overall caffeine content of this entire recipe is less than 200 milligrams. If you think of that on a per cookie basis, it's maybe like 10 to 20 at most. So it's not a crazy amount. Like, you don't have to really stay away from it at bedtime or anything. These are our home run. I think if you bring these to the next like family get together, the next party, a cool like whipped cream dip with some coffee espresso cookies, everyone's gonna be impressed, and I think a lot of them will like this. The recipe is in the description below, so check that out for all the exact measurements and everything. And stay tuned for next time. We're gonna have something good.